Hello, welcome to Yin. As always, props are super helpful, so make sure that you have whatever can possibly be helpful to you. That can include blankets, towels, something fluffy, something firm, anything that can sort of represent building up the earth to you. And some people prefer really soft things like pillows, and other people like more firmer support. So one way that you can make a firmer support is to make blanket rolls or towel rolls. And if you ever need a tip on making them firm, I can teach you right now just real quick. This can be like a workshop moment. I actually learned this, Erin and I joke about how I should give more tips from when I worked in the operating room. So to make a firm towel roll, lay out your blanket or towel. I don't know how well you can see. Grab the end here and then pull it tight away from each other and then begin to roll. And every time you do a roll, pull it firm and tight. Again, firm and tight. And what it's going to do is create that tension, and as you roll over it, you're going to have a really firm tube-like shape. And you can do this with even like a quilt or something. And what it leaves you with is a really nice burrito that, like, this is the same size and shape as a pranayama pillow. So instead of spending $30 online to order one of those, you can always make one with just a towel or a blanket. So that's Leah's quick tips. Let's get into our practice. We are going to start in a heart bench type situation, a heart opening position. If you have a pranayama pillow or would like one, you can do the towel roll or blanket roll situation I just made. You can also use a pillow behind you, a bolster, or blocks. Blocks would be one block between the shoulder blades and one beneath the head. I am going to do this pranayama pillow shape, towel roll, blanket roll, and then other support under the knees. And what this does is it allows the body to be supported. I'm going to slide this down so it starts at my sacrum, so that way the entire front of the body can begin to melt laterally. Bring the shoulders down towards the ground. Feel the rib cage begin to open up. You can think about a flower blossoming open. Let that be your abdomen. The toes fall outward. The palms are up. The fingers are spread wide. Taking your time to settle. There's no rush. We're here for more than a couple of breaths, so really allow yourself to create the shape for your body that your body would like to be held by. In Yin, we have this really awesome opportunity to not hold shapes, but instead to be held by shapes. So the body can begin to melt and soften, to feel true ease and relaxation. Allow your eyes to close. And deepen the breath. Can you feel yourself melting down around your props? Imagine a baker who uses fondant, and it's rolled out to a big sheet, and it's placed over the cake, and it sort of just kind of drapes down over it, like a tablecloth over a table. Allow your body to be that sheet. It's just being draped over the props. Finding softness, heaviness towards the ground. Locating the periphery of your body, all the outer edges, as they melt heavy towards the floor. Allow the breath to become so deep, so steady, that it reaches those outer edges. And somewhere in that movement, that swirling and whirling of air, of prana inside the body, can you begin to locate the center of your body, the periphery? Not your periphery, but your center, where everything comes in, where it blossoms from. For some, that's the lower belly, chest, maybe the base of the neck. We all feel it differently. Where is it for you? Sometimes we notice it as the place where the breath starts and stops. Or when we feel deep emotion, we feel pressure. Perhaps if you feel anxiety ever, you feel it in that space. Sometimes it's right at the low ribs, in the belly, or in the throat. Allow that space to be open, to be full of light. Simply breathing. We're going to find now a 3-part breath. Inhaling for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause 2, 3, 4. Inhale. Repeating this now on your own. So inhaling, and you can change the count from 4, maybe doing 3 seconds or increasing that count. But keeping that same amount of time for the inhale, the exhale, and then that pause, that space at the bottom. And in that space at the bottom, find the savoring, the enjoyment of the space, of the silence. That while you're not moving the body with breath, there's still movement within the body. Heart is still beating. Maybe the eyes still flutter. There's still vibrant life inside. You're there long enough to notice that, and then take the next breath in, providing the body with more life, more energy. All the while noticing the body, its response, its reaction to this. Feeling calm, feeling peace, feeling at ease. Make your inner growth top priority, and everything else will follow. So beginning in that center, in your center, allow there to be growth, space. And notice how the rest of the body accommodates. That growth and space follows. And that's just with the breath. We think about how we can apply that to our mind, our emotions, our life. big changes can begin to happen. Make your inner growth top priority. Everything else will follow. On Tuesday, we talked about that ripple effect, how the ability that we are given, that we have to affect others without even trying, without even being aware, to affect others with decisions we make we've never even met. This is stemming from that. It's growing from that. But instead of thinking of others, today we get to think about ourselves. And the magical thing is that the same results can happen. That while putting ourselves first, while nurturing and nourishing ourselves, we can have a positive effect on others. Perhaps you've been doing that 3-part breath this whole time, or maybe you've let it fall away. If you've let it fall away, it can be a good thing. Pranayama, meditative tools, that's what they are, is tools. They help us get to a place of the mind where we feel at ease, where we feel like we can let go. So maybe you got to that place and you were able to put down that tool, that 3-part breath, Samavriti. Allow yourself a few extra moments just in the space that you're in. Begin to feel the limbs. Again, searching for the periphery of your body, the outer edges, the most distal points. Fingers, toes. First sensing them, then perhaps finding movement. If you'd rather be still and just feel them, sensing their presence without seeing them, welcome that as well. It's a deep layer of awareness that you're finding. And let that awareness travel towards the core, towards that center. So up the arms and the legs, the hips and the shoulders, the head, all the way to the center. And perhaps you place your hands over that center, whether it's the belly, the chest, or the base of the throat. You can breathe in and out, breathing into the hands, honoring that place where the breath begins and ends. Now we're going to change the shape that we're in. We're going to find a supported bridge with the option to find waterfall or legs up a wall. So I'm going to show you 3 different ways to do the shape, to do this pose. And I'm going to demonstrate with a block, but realize that you can use your towel roll, blanket roll, a pillow, whatever it is that helps give you a little bit of lift. So removing what's under the back, bending the knees, pressing down into the feet enough to lift the hips and slide a block beneath you. You can stay here exactly how you are. You can straighten the legs. This is option 1, staying in the supported bridge shape, either with legs bent or extended. Option 2 is to find our waterfall. So keeping the block where it is, lifting the soles of the feet up towards the sky. And you're going to find a place that feels good for your legs to be. The knees can be as bent as you need. You're going to find a place where the stacking allows the feet, the legs to feel pretty weightless. There's minimal effort here. This is option 2. Option 3 is to do legs up a wall. Now you can do legs up a wall with a block under your sacrum or not. I'm going to suggest, if you're doing true legs up a wall, to not have a block. Perhaps a rolled up blanket or something very soft, something that's a little more minimal. Allow the heels to rest against the wall. Feel as much connection through the backs of the legs towards the wall as possible. And try to allow a natural curvature of the spine, so there's a little space between your low back and the floor. Your lumbar curve. That means a deeper bend in the knees. Welcome a deeper bend in the knees. Allow the body to soften. The ribs to come towards each other, not through muscular effort, but just through relaxing. We're not expanding and getting ourselves big here. We're softening in. We're letting everything close that wants to be closed. And then the hands can either be at the belly, the chest, or the floor. So those are your options for this next pose. I'm going to tell you when we are halfway through the pose. That way you can make any adjustments or any shapes that you find necessary or helpful. And maybe while you're here, you can reflect a bit how nobody has extra time. We all have the same amount of time and all of our time is filled. But by giving yourself this gift of practice, by practicing pranayama, breath control, by finding shapes with the body, and by taking rest, finding savasana, what you're doing is creating an opportunity, again, to have that ripple effect, to change yourself. And when you change yourself, you can change the world around you. Welcome in whatever thoughts, whatever reflections begin to trickle in the mind, stemming from that. We are halfway through the pose, so make some adjustments if you need to. If you happen to be on a block, perhaps you change the height of the block, position of your legs. If you're in waterfall, you can always bend the knees. Maybe you come out of it. If you're in your legs up the wall, maybe you can straighten the legs a little more. Taking care of the body, taking care of the self. Using this precious time that you have carved out for your practice to make a difference. Noticing what thoughts are present, if any. Taking an inhale, imagining those thoughts as clouds. And on the exhale, be the wind that blows them away. Back to clear skies. Begin a drum through the fingers and the toes, wherever you are. Wiggling, opening and closing. Preparing to come out of this. If you move towards a wall, go ahead and gently begin to come off of the wall. You have a prop beneath your sacrum still. Press into the feet to lift the pelvis and remove that prop and then roll down on the spine. If it would feel good, you can hug the knees into the chest. If it would feel better, you can stretch the arms and legs out in opposite directions. Do whichever's calling to you. And then we're going to find ourselves seated. Beginning to think about how you can transition your body that way. Perhaps hugging the knees into the chest, finding a side lane position, or even just bending one knee, pushing into that foot, and then rolling onto one side to press up. Or maybe rocking and rolling up. Again, there's never a right or wrong. Not with my classes. What we're going to find next is deer pose. So we're going to have knees bent, feet towards the left. If you know how to get there, go ahead and get there. Otherwise, I'll explain it. Legs are long. We're going to begin to bend through the right knee, almost finding sort of that half butterfly shape. So the inside of the right foot is to the inside of the left leg. Lean towards the right hip, bend through the left knee. So you have kind of a windmill shape, lots of right angles going on. And what you're going to do is you're just going to fold over that front leg. So you can think about this also as sort of a modified swan pose, modified pigeon. And bring props in front of you. If you could just melt down to the floor and that's where you feel that hint of an edge, you can do that. If you need a little more support to build the floor up to you, go ahead. Looking especially for sensation along the right hip. Anywhere the full circumference of that hip, it can happen. We all have different anatomy. If you feel a lot of pinching here, you can bring that foot wider and bring the foot forward and then fold a little bit less. You can have Sphinx arms. You can make a pillow for the forehead. You can bring the forehead all the way down to the ground and reach the arms forward. Doing whichever suits your body, gives you the support, the comfort that you need. Let the eyes close. And really begin to shift the focus back inside of yourself. For right now, there's nothing to do. Just being is enough. Perhaps that can be your mantra. For right now, there's nothing to do. Just being is enough. Take 3 more breaths in the shape. Using each breath to bring you back for more energy, alertness, ready to change the shape of your body. Thinking about the air that you're exchanging as replacing. Replacing stale energy, heavy energy with light and fresh. Perhaps with each breath you can rise up a little bit more away from the ground, away from props, until eventually you are more rooted down through the sit bones. And what we're going to do now is just turn your attention towards the left ankle. And notice half of us are going to have the tendency to naturally have the top of the foot down and the toes pointing back. Half of us are going to have the tendency to have sort of a 90-degree angle in that ankle, so the toes are pointing to our left. What we want to do, if it's available in the body, is tuck the top of the foot down so the toes begin to point back. We're going to want to have some props available behind us because we're going to go straight into our half saddle from here. So we're changing our attention from the right hip to the front of the left thigh. So begin hands behind the hips, bending through the elbows, maybe finding support for the elbows on a prop, maybe coming down to the floor. And I'm just going to let you guys know I happen to have open quads, probably because I don't have that much strength there, if I'm being honest. So I can come all the way down to the floor and not really even feel an edge. So for me, this is where I would be in my yin half saddle pose. But I recognize that all of our bodies are very different. So I'd like you to have the support beneath you, behind you, to give you whatever it is that you need to have to feel your edge. That first edge, that first hint of sensation, of stretch, of stress in the tissues along the top of the left thigh. Again, option to sort of hang into the shoulders if you'd like, or push away. You can be as active as you'd like to be. And we're not here for too long, so I'd really like you to savor the shape, to find enjoyment here. Can you list to yourself a few things that you like, that you're feeling? Focusing on the positive. Not pretending the negative isn't there or devaluing it. Just shining light on what feels good. Letting our default be to find the positive. Let that be the pathway the brain works towards creating strength in. Can actually help build more resilience over time. Notice that the breath is smooth. It rolls in and out like ocean waves. Almost like an infinity symbol. Continuous. Rhythmic. Let there be no stop and no real start. The end of the breath feeding into the start of the next breath. Allow yourself to find softness in the face. Let the corners of your mouth lift for a little smile. Inviting in a little bit of joy for no reason at all. Joy just to feel joy. How cool is it that we're allowed to do that? That we can just invite in a feeling We can make it a felt sense in our body. We can smile. We can wish for joy and feel it spread. It's that mind-body connection. Final deep breath in and deep breath out in the shape. And then we're going to begin to exit it. So depending on your depth of the pose, your elbows are definitely going to be your friend, and then your hands. You may need some abdominal work here, a little bit of core. If you don't have that available, definitely using the hands, using the arms, using props around you to help you sort of climb your way back up into this deer shape. And then we have a couple options of how to switch and find that next deer shape. You can just switch the legs so they look the opposite way in the opposite direction. You can start how we did. Or if you want to be really fancy and just really impress the animals around you who may be watching you, you can push down through the feet and you can spin all the way around. And then you can find yourself with the feet in the other direction, knees to the left. Okay. It really wasn't that cool. It really wasn't that impressive, and I think I did it wrong. That's why sometimes online classes can be charming and endearing, right? Okay, so we're in our deer pose now. That front shin is pretty parallel with the front edge of the mat, depending on how the hip feels. Bring the props in front of you that you need to bring in front of you. Then begin to find that fold forward. Let this be a sleeping deer, resting over that front leg. Testing your limits, testing your edges, honoring them. Finding a full body yes. And then just being there. Again, there's nothing to do, just being is enough. A quote that I read that I thought would be nice to share for this class, for this theme says, know that where you are resting, know that when you are resting, it's enough for the universe right now. You don't always need to do something. You don't always need to help anyone or produce something. You are enough. I think that in this time that we're in, there's so much being placed upon us of being productive. You know, we're at home, so we need to do projects. We need to accomplish things. We need to use this time that we have to really fix things. But that's not true. We don't have to. Our worth isn't dependent on it. The universe doesn't really care. So take rest. Take care of yourself, because that's what the universe needs. Make your inner growth top priority. Everything else will follow. So perhaps your inner growth does involve helping others. I'm not saying not to help others, to make positive changes, but don't tie your self-worth to it. Let it be a beautiful effect. Whatever you're doing is already enough. You don't have to be everyone's something, you know, or something to everyone. Just be you. That's all the universe needs. There's only one of you. And again, you have 3 breaths. 3 breaths to rise up. So maybe using each breath to climb your way back up, little by little, until you feel your roots of your body, the sit bones, the base, connected to the floor. Spine stacked, crown tall. Softening the face, softening the shoulders. Preparing now to switch to that half saddle. So looking now at the right foot. If your foot isn't already naturally wrapped, so the top of the foot is down and the toes are pointed back behind you. And all that does is protect the knee. So do what feels good for you. And begin leaning back. Noticing, I should have said this on the first side, but always noticing if there's any discomfort, any alarm bells going off on the inside or the outside of the knees. And then finding the perfect place, just like Goldilocks, where you should be. Where is not too much, not too little, but where is just right, where you can feel sensation. You can feel this area is alive, pulsing with energy, vibrant, and able to soften. And as you rest here, sensation begins to melt, to blend into the other sensations happening in the body, so that the mind is no longer focused on that area, but free to travel, free to daydream, free to be. Got about 30 more seconds in the shape. Can you take as few breaths as possible in those 30 seconds? Maybe inhaling for 6 or 7 seconds. Exhaling for 6 or 7. And then pausing at the bottom for as long as feels good. Maybe 6 or 7, maybe less. Then repeating back. And then preparing yourself to rise back up, to climb back up out of the shape, out of this half saddle. So the hands can come to the floor. Let it feel good. Then come forward onto hands and knees. If you need stillness here, take a child's pose. If you feel like we've been kind of kinking these energy channels, so everything, all the hoses have been kinked a bit, I'd like you to take time now to unkink those by finding free movement. So maybe stretching through the legs, stretching through the back and the arms, side to side. And we're doing this really slowly, really mindfully, gently, opening up all channels, recognizing that really there's only one pose that allows everything to be open, and that's Shavasana. And that's what's next. So allow there to be a little bit of movement. We're stirring all of our energy around, allowing blood to flow, joints to be opened, extended. Before finding yourself creating your Shavasana heaven using any props that you need. And you can start out just the way that we started our practice in your Shavasana, using that roll beneath the spine, something beneath the knees. It's always nice, in my opinion, to have something supporting the back, the head, and beneath the knees. Something soft under the heels as well. But you're also welcome just to lay flat, just on the floor, very organic with the earth. And also lay on the belly, prone. That can be really comfortable sometimes. And just breathing through the back body. And for this Shavasana, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to do a guided meditation. So you are welcome to kind of tune me out, let my voice drone into the background. You can turn the volume down if that's what you prefer, and turn your music up, or you can listen. You can allow my voice to become your voice. If you feel comfortable doing so, let the eyes close. Feel the air on your skin. Notice any distractions around you. Those may be sound, sensations, smells, it can be anything. Welcome them in. Instead of trying to block them out, welcome them into your Shavasana. The state of rest. And now I'd like you to imagine yourself outside, feeling the same temperature of air in your skin, hearing the same sounds that you hear. Begin adding in, using the right side of your brain, your creativity. Begin to add in other sounds, other qualities of the space. Let it be a place outdoors that you love to go, maybe your favorite place. And begin to build it, like you'd build your imaginary world if you could. Are there trees there? What kind of trees? How tall are they? What color? What texture? Perhaps the sun is out and you begin to feel a little more warmth. Skin has a little more warmth on it. Maybe there's light now shining through your closed eyelids. The sun's rays bathing over your body. Can you feel a slight breeze or movement of air? Perhaps you even hear it in the trees. And what other colors are present? What other items? Flowers. Perhaps you're in the mountains or an open field. A trail. Maybe you're at the beach. adding details, adding sensory items, perceptions, making them feel as real as you can. And now begin to notice the sound of water. It almost sounds like a shushing sound. So you know it's not ocean waves because the sound isn't changing. There's no rhythm to it. It must be a river. Where is this river? It sounds pretty big. So you begin looking for this river. And then you spot it off in the distance. And you continue walking towards the river. Arms outstretched, hands by your sides, perhaps touching tall grass or wildflowers, brushing plants. Still basking in the sunlight as you walk, breathing in the crisp air till you arrive at the river. And you watch it. It's powerful, it's strong. You can see where its force, its time has worn away at rock. The water is beautiful and clear, and you can see the bottom. Tiny pebbles and stones. Perhaps even some precious stones. Noticing that there's multiple colors present. And then what you thought was only stones, you now notice are also fish. There's life in this river. There's joy there. You enjoy just looking and watching, allowing the sound of the river to cover the sound of the thoughts, the tasks, to-do lists that you have in your mind always. So just this moment, being here is enough. This is what the universe has provided you, and this is what you get to enjoy. It's to nourish you and fill you for the rest of your day. You notice that within kneeling distance, there's one stone, one beautiful colored stone just at the outer edge of the river. So you kneel down, and you grab it. And you feel it, and it's smooth and cold and cool. Begin to rub it through the hands, looking for any sharp edges, but there are none. Notice what color it is, what this stone might represent. You'd like to do with it. Knowing that it was a gift from the river to you. Presented, offered. So either placing it in your pocket or holding it in your hand, begin to slowly step back away from the river. Still watching, still admiring. Then you slowly turn around to face the trees. Start walking back towards the trees. One hand again spread down by the hip. Feeling the texture of grass and flowers, vegetation. Noticing the crunch or the softness under your feet as you walk. Feeling so grateful for this moment. The air feels easy to breathe. You notice there are some emotions present that you may not have expected. You welcome them fully. This moment was meant just for you. Coming back into the physical body, on your yoga mat, in your space, in your home. Feeling the back side of the body, if that's what's on the floor, on the mat, on props, or whatever surface that your body is on. Feeling that connection. Now feeling the side of the body that's exposed to air. And as you breathe into that space. And exhale, everything comes back in towards your center. Feeling at peace, at ease, and feeling that you've found your own inner wisdom, at least for today. Knowing that just being is enough for the universe for you today. Perhaps some things can wait. Perhaps some things have to wait. Instead of feeling frustrated with that, welcome it as an opportunity to recharge. To put yourself first as top priority and trust that everything else will follow. Begin welcoming very gentle movement back to the body. You can start out gently with the fingertips and the toes, or maybe you start with bigger movements, arms and legs stretching and reaching, muscles contracting, joints extending. It feels good. You can hug the knees towards the chest or keep the body long. Move towards a side laying position now. And then press yourself up towards a seated position. Sitting comfortably, perhaps on a prop, perhaps on the floor. Finding savasana, just an easy way to sit. Then begin to lean the heart space back a bit. The knees may lift, that's okay. You place your hands on your knees to sort of anchor yourself. Find balance here. Lift up through the heart, lift up through the crown. Bring hands to heart center and realize you don't need to hold on to your knees. You're balanced. Let's take 3 more breaths together, feeling connection to one another. So exhale completely. And now together we inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Feel relief. Perhaps you find a soft smile just for yourself. A little tug of the chin. Thank you so much for letting me be part of your practice today. I wish you love and I wish you peace. Om Shanti.